Alderaan was gone. After Obi-Wan received what seemed to be a dire warning from Bail Organa that the Empire had developed a weapon capable of destroying entire worlds, he set off to return to Alderaan in hopes that he could assist in any way that he could. This, of course, would mean that the training of Luke and Leia would slow down, but he had to make exceptions given the current tide of the galaxy. However, a new cog in his plan has been made as the trio arrived to the space where Alderaan once stood. It can't be. Obi-Wan's deepest worries became realized when he analyzed the star chart and saw that where a planet once stood was only a field of asteroids. His attention turned to Luke and Leia, who both comforted each other in the loss of their father, their mother, and their entire race of people. Kenobi then thought back to the first day that he took the children away for their training, and the many questions they had. One of those questions was how their parents died. He contemplated telling them that at this very moment, as if it would bring a level of affirmation in the destiny that they had to fulfill. But he knew that this wasn't the time, and certainly not the place. The rebellion. We need to find them. They surely already know of the horror, but I must meet with them. Don't you mean we? Luke looked up confused to the beginnings of Kenobi's choice of steps following the current matter. I don't want to separate, especially at a time like this, but your training must continue, even if it is without me. Well, what do you expect us to do? Luke stood facing Kenobi, arms open wide as he clearly didn't like his teacher's idea. Leia's lightsaber. That's your next step. When we find the rebellion, you two will travel to a world very important to the Jedi. Hopefully the Empire hasn't found it. It is called Ilum. I'll give you the coordinates soon enough, but I first need to know how to find our rebel friends. Yavin. Leia's voice, though she was distraught at the loss of her home, was still as strong through the pain. I'd seen Yavin appear in Father's logs numerous times over the years. He frequented a lot for it to be so far away from the core systems. Kenobi respected the strength in Leia's words and didn't idly wait to make way to Yavin. He knew there was something special in both the children of Anakin Skywalker, and he had faith that the path he was about to set them on was going to be completed. Across the galaxy, Darth Vader oversaw the construction of another step in further strengthening the grip of the Empire, the Super Star Destroyer. He was set to command one of the first to be deployed. Most of the innards were completed as Vader marched the halls of the vessel that would be known as the Executor. He made way to the bridge of the ship and told all individuals inside to clear out. He keyed in the command table and kneeled before it. In seconds, the image of the Emperor towered over him as he spoke to his apprentice.
What has brought forth this emergency from you, Lord Vader?
Kenobi lives.
There was a pause from Emperor Palpatine, as he hadn't heard that name in years, and didn't expect to ever since Order 66.
Are you certain?
We had contact with Bail Organa. He's assisting the rebellion, and he's taken on Padawan learners.
You know your mission. Find him and kill him.
What of the Padawans, my master?
If Kenobi's taken interest in them, make it official. I have as well. They are to be taken alive.
It will be done, my master.
The image of Palpatine disappeared as Vader rose from his kneeling position and marched towards the exit of the bridge, where an officer awaited with more news. Lord Vader, Moff Tarkin has called a meeting with Imperial governors aboard the Death Star. He's asked that you be in presence for the meeting as well. Vader headed towards his shuttle, but the politics of the upcoming meeting were the last thing on his mind. A hunt for Obi-Wan Kenobi was soon to begin, and he was going to do everything in his power to make sure he was the one to land the killing blow against his former master. It was during this moment that the ship carrying Obi-Wan, Luke, and Leia found its way to the Yavin system. Kenobi was about to ask where exactly they were headed, but a comm signal came in from the rebellion.
You've entered restricted space, monitored by the Galactic Rebellion. Please give your access code. Immediately.
Obi-Wan turned to Luke and Leia in hopes that they possibly knew any sort of code that would grant them entry, but the pair shrugged their shoulders in unison. Very well, I'll have to improvise. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I had received the transmission from Bail Organa to meet him at Alderaan, but I regret to report I was too late. There was an uneasy pause from the rebellion side of the conversation. When a voice did come through, it was luckily one that granted some good news.
You've been granted entry. Head to Yavin 4 at these coordinates. Mon Mothma would like to speak with you.
As communications clicked out, Leia was shocked to hear the name of Mon Mothma announced. Senator Mon Mothma is with the rebellion as well. I almost can't say I'm surprised. Neither can I. She was a loud voice against the Clone Wars as well. She's always had a strong voice. This suits her greatly. Obi-Wan decided to let the autocruise take them down to the planet as he prepared for his meeting with the senator from Chandrila. Once the ship landed, the trio was disembarked from their ship, and Luke and Leia were astonished at the size of the rebellion's numbers. Ships were scattered about the landing area, and it seemed as though there was a rush among everyone that occupied it. Obi-Wan, though, had seen many places like this, and continued on towards where he was to meet Mon Mothma. It was the main temple, where Kenobi approached, and there stood, in all of her confidence, Mon Mothma. She was one of the organizers of this entire movement, and with the loss of Bail Organa, she stood as the prominent leader. Master Kenobi, it is a pleasure to see you again. And who are these two with you? She turned her attention to the Organa children, and quickly remembered their faces. Luke and Leia Organa. My goodness, have the two of you grown. She had seen the pair plenty of times when they were younger, as she would visit Alderaan often, though now they knew why her visits were so plenty. However, the senator had more pressing matters to deal with. We do desperately need your help, Master Kenobi. The Empire has long had things we feared we wouldn't be able to deal with. As you heard, they have developed a new weapon they call the Death Star. However, thanks to the sacrifices of Admiral Raddus, we have the plans. We need your help with an individual. Obi-Wan was beginning to have fears to who exactly the senator was referring to. He had a pit inside him that was pleading that she would not say a name familiar to him, but his hopes were in vain. He's a frightening individual by the name of Darth Vader. He was at Scarif and slaughtered an entire ship of our friends and allies, and we need a Jedi, a powerful one at that. Kenobi's mind flashed back to the day he last fought Vader on the world of Mustafar. He had hoped that was the last day he would ever have to face him, but it seemed that hope had dwindled. He then turned to see Luke and Leia watching him, and remembered they still didn't know the truth of what happened to their parents. He bounced the idea of telling them around and around in his mind, but he knew this wasn't the moment. Not yet. But he did have something important to tell them, in private. I understand, Senator. I will do what I can, but I need a moment with Luke and Leia, if you don't mind. Senator Mon Mothma bowed her head in acknowledgement of Kenobi's request as he walked over with the Organas to a more closed-off area of the base of Yavin 4. I'm afraid this is where our paths diverge. I've crossed blades with Darth Vader before, and I fear only I can do it again. Ilum is your next destination. There, Leia will be able to start constructing her lightsaber. Where do we go after Ilum? Luke showed great concern over the future, something Kenobi knew he got from his father. He assured the young Jedi hopefuls that they'll know every next step of their journey following Ilum. Before you go on your way, there are great people here, people that you will be fighting alongside at some point. Greet them, get to know them. With that, Kenobi went back to Mon Mothma to discuss Vader, while the Organas wandered about the entire base. This was almost a calm before the storm, despite the lively atmosphere. The storm would offer different outcomes for everyone, though. What those would be, only time would tell.